You sound like shit, Joe.
Thanks.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Rob, here with Mike and Joe. It's Hogs, Hops, and Hope podcast. Hot takes, cold beers, zero credentials. We have zero credentials. I feel like we're running out of Hogs and we're running out of hope. We still got the hops, though. I'll lead us off tonight. I always ask you guys to go first. I'm drinking it's from Figueroa Mountain Brewery in Buellton, California. And this is the Lizard's Mouth Imperial IPA.
Right.
9.0 on the alcohol scale for those that are keeping score at home. As the losing streak increases, so does the alcohol content. By the end of the season, I'll be drinking grain. Joe, what you got over there?
Actually, I don't have a bottle with me, but tonight I'm opting for NyQuil by Vicks. You can show the picture now that I sent you. I'm a little under the weather, but there's a little alcohol in there, so I think it counts for something.
Oh, it definitely counts for something.
Yeah, that counts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mike, what you got?
So I picked up a Sam Adams winter seasonal pack. So this is the first one I'm trying. It's Old Fezziwig.
Old Fezziwig. All right.
Fezziwig. It's a respectable 5.9% alcohol.
That was my nickname on my softball team, Old Fezziwig.
Okay.
Back when I played for the Bofas, that was our team name, Bofa. Big old fat asses.
Okay. Nice.
So Washington on a roll, lost again to Detroit this time, 44-22. And I said it last week, I don't even think the game was that close.
No.
It didn't feel like it. Washington was, I guess, blown out is the only way to say it. I mean, Detroit had 546 yards of offense. They scored on, I think, every possession. Maybe they missed one somewhere. But it was, as I heard other people say, it was name your score if you were the Detroit Lions. Did you want to kick a field goal or score a touchdown this time? And you win a prize. Washington, I'm going to skip the defense because, well, they skipped playing, so there's no reason to talk about them.
That's fair, yeah.
The offense, they rushed for less than 100 yards combined. Bill was the leading rusher with 30 yards.
Wow.
Considering that Jamar Gibbs had one rush for 43 yards, that was half of what Washington rushed for. Mariota had I don't understand this. Some people said he had a decent game. He was 16 for 22, 213 yards and 2 touchdowns. I guess it's good when you just don't turn the ball over anymore. I guess that qualifies as good. Thoughts on the
those
game?
Numbers. Well, the numbers don't sound bad, and if they were playing a really crappy team, 22 points. If the other team could only score 7, but
our defense,
or even only 21.
We gave up 44 points. I mean, look, they had 3 touchdowns. Yeah. This is. I'm sorry, this is all on the defense.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm not saying it's the offense's fault. No, I wasn't trying to say that. I agree 100%. This is on the defense. I mean, this is the first time since 1954 that the team has lost by 20 plus points 4 games in a row. I mean, that's so long ago. It's before I was born.
Damn!
Wow.
A long time ago.
I'm telling you.
That's a horrible stat. Golly.
Well, if you're gonna lose right. That's my motto.
And boy, do we know how to do that.
But the team lost again, and they were embarrassing. there were two plays, or two, I'll say incidences because they weren't plays, that just kind of demonstrate where the defense is going. Was it Kinlaw hit an official and was flagged for 15 yards? And Deron Payne took a full swinging haymaker at Brown, hitting him in the helmet. I'll still never understand why football players swing at someone who's wearing a helmet, but anyway, and was ejected from the game, and has also received a 1-game suspension, and he is not in Madrid with the team. Now, video came after the game. Deron Payne and everyone else was saying that Brown hit Payne first, and there was finally some video that came out that showed that yes, Brown took a little swing at Payne right in front of an official, and it wasn't called a penalty, and that's what everybody's up in arms about. Not the fact that Payne retaliated and swung as hard as he could, swinging for the fences to hit someone in the head.
And didn't he do it like 2 plays later too? Like it wasn't even immediately after. So it's like,
right.
Yeah, I don't care if it was 2 seconds later. He did it. So yeah, I see all that coming out, and he's trying to like plead his case that, oh, this is why. It doesn't matter. Dude, this happens, and that's why you don't retaliate. Like if the officials miss the first one, you're going to get caught when you retaliate. We see it in hockey all the time.
You see it in hockey all the time. Well, and you know the interesting thing is Kevin Sheehan, who's he's a media guy there in DC. So he tweeted earlier today. He said, if Amon Brown gets flagged by the ref with the front row view, good chance Deron never swings back. Not sure why the ref, who sees this clearly, would let this go, but he should be reprimanded. Brown should get a game too. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, yeah, if Brown swung at him, he should have gotten a penalty. Yeah, okay, but to say that Payne wouldn't have retaliated, based on, you guys just said it. It's 2 plays later. Kevin Sheehan's basically saying, well, if there had been a penalty, Payne wouldn't have retaliated. I don't buy that for a second. Payne is a hothead. No. Yeah. He gets into fights with teammates. Are you kidding? Do we not forget him and Jonathan Allen? They were bros, and they're fighting on the sidelines. Do we not forget that?
Yeah, and that honestly, that argument doesn't make sense because again, 2 plays later, this is a guy who stewed on it. Like you know, the retaliation thing. If in the heat of the moment you retaliate, you know, someone hits you and you hit back. I'm not saying it's like, look, if you're the one that got caught, you still get it. But right. I can understand that. This guy had time to think about it. Hey, maybe I shouldn't get ejected from the fucking game. And he still took a swing at the dude. So no, that's bullshit.
And taking a swing like that, not only are you going to get ejected, you have to know you're going to be suspended.
Yeah.
And the fact that they just, you know, Louvu gets suspended and they said, no, okay, we're sorry. We didn't mean that. We're just going to fine you. You think they're going to overturn 2 of them back to back like that? I don't think so. So that, I mean, the defense is embarrassing. Forget their play on the field. Look how they're conducting themselves. That's just, that's horrible. I mean, it's an embarrassment, complete and utter embarrassment. But I guess Detroit got some resemblance of revenge. I guess it's not the playoffs, so who really cares? But that's that's that. Any other comments on the game?
Well, I mean, you mentioned Kinlaw. The other thing is he could have been ejected for that, and it sounds like they opted not to eject him because they had just ejected. You know, they weren't going to do 2 back-to-back ejections. So, I mean, feels like we got a little lucky there, to be honest, because 2 of our players were stupid.
Well, there's more than 2 that are being stupid, but
in those 2 plays, 2 of our players were stupid.
Yes, thank you. There you go. Thanks for the clarification. Well, so we all knew they were going to lose to Detroit. And I think we all said they wouldn't cover the spread, which I think was 9.5. So none of us should be shocked by this. So we were just talking about how this is the defense, right? The defense has been horrible. They've been horrible all season. this loss is really on the defense. They couldn't stop anything. And this is after they dumbed down the playbook. And this is the first game after they moved Joe Witt down to the sidelines because, he was asked by the players to be on the sidelines and not in the box. And this is the result we get. So there were a lot of fans and even some in the media, those with credentials, who were saying, well, Joe Witt, is he going to be fired? Should he be fired? A lot of people were saying he should be fired. Now, I can't remember if I said this last week or not. Joe Witt's not going to be fired. He's going to make it through the season. And Dan Quinn did something to ensure that. Dan Quinn is now calling the defensive plays. He's the de facto defensive coordinator. This way he doesn't have to fire Joe Witt. This is his out. He doesn't have to fire his buddy. So Dan Quinn was the defensive coordinator in Seattle before becoming coach at Atlanta. He was defensive coordinator in Dallas before becoming a head coach here in Washington. And when he was head coach in Atlanta, he actually took over the defensive play calling as well. With that being said, and when he was in Seattle, he had the team had one of the best defenses. Of course, they had a bunch of all pros and pro bowlers, and we probably could have coached that defense to the season that they had. How do you feel about Dan Quinn, with all his responsibilities that he has already as head coach, now actually taking over the defensive play calling? One, how do you feel about it? And two, do you think it will make any difference? And Mike, I'll go to you first. Is this something that can save the season, or are we just looking to see improvement, or what do we got?
I don't think it's going to make a big difference. I mean, no, I don't think it'll make a big difference. It probably is a better idea. I think I get your point about him as the head coach, other responsibilities. I think with Kingsbury running the offense, he can focus more on the defense, and quite frankly, need it, and that is his background. But no, I don't think it's a big difference. It's more than just play calling. It's there are deeper issues there, so I don't think it makes a difference. I don't know. I guess I'm going to be super pessimistic about everything right now, I think, because these
Fair
guys
enough.
are so bad that what are we rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic at this point? Feels like it.
Yep. Joe, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the demotion is a joke, and they should have just waited until after this week during the bye week and just fired him and made a point. He is the problem. You acknowledge he's a problem if you're demoting him, and so clearly we need to move on from him. He will be fired at the end of the season.
Yes.
If not sooner, but there's no reason to fire him now because he's just a defensive coach of some sort or whatever the hell title he's being given right now. And yet, like you said,
he still has the title of defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Technically, he is still the defensive coordinator.
Well, yeah.
I realize that doesn't mean a whole lot, but you're right, Joe. It is a de facto demotion. Yes.
Yeah, and it's exactly what you said with DQ protecting his guy, which, whatever. But now, as far as how well it's going to affect the team, it doesn't matter right now. We are at a 2% chance of making it to the playoffs.
I didn't realize it was that high.
We're 14 out of 16 on the NFC side. It's we're not going to the playoffs. It doesn't matter. So we need to just play the young guys. We need to figure out what the hell we have in the future. We need to build a team. Last year was a great, lucky situation, and it was a lot of fun last year. And now reality is set in, and now it's time to look to the future and do it right. Build a team the way it needs to be done. Young players through the draft, and build.
Well, we'll have plenty of time to talk about that, but I agree with
I'm ready.
both of
I'm
you.
already in off-season mode. Let's go.
Yeah.
When's the draft?
We're inching closer to that as a whole, but I agree with both of you that I don't think it makes much of a difference. Mike, you're saying something that Mitch Tischler from Beltway Football has said a lot. He and JP Finley, but Mitch says that a lot. He says it's all just, they moved Joe Witt down to the field. We're rearranging the deck chairs.
Yep.
Dan Quinn's going to call the plays. It's the same thing. There's a lot more going on with this team, and it's more than just injuries. That's not the reason this defense is bad. It's not just they have a lot of injuries. There's no way to get around that. But this team is not playing well, and they're not disciplined at all. And so to me, that goes back to coaching. So my thought on this was, okay, Dan Quinn, you're the defensive coordinator. You're the genius. You're the one that led Seattle to these great defenses. You had Dallas have great defenses. When you are just the defensive coordinator and that's what you focus on. So now that he's taking play calling, if things continue as they are for the remainder of the games, remainder of the season, how bad does it look, if at all, on Dan Quinn as a whole? Because if defense is supposed to be his specialty, and he's been a defensive coordinator twice and been a successful defensive coordinator, and now he is the de facto defensive coordinator, and if this team continues to perform the way it has, what's that say about him as a coach altogether? And I'm not saying he should be, if this continues through the season, that he should be fired. He's not going to be fired at the end of the season. He's going to make it through next season before anything happens. So I'm not trying to suggest that in any way, shape, or form, but you have to wonder, if the team doesn't improve, if the defense doesn't improve from where they are, what does that say about Dan Quinn?
Well,
He's not a very good coach.
I was going to say, he kind of has to let his guys do their. He has to let their. He brought in Joe Witt to be the defensive coordinator. He has to let Joe Witt be the coordinator, right? He can't be undermining him every time. Or you think he should be?
Well, do you think that's going on? Do you think Witt is a good coach? And
no, I think Dan was like, this is his job. He needs to do his job, and now he's not doing his job well enough, so he's going to get the demotion that he's gotten. But leading up to this point, like, I don't think Dan could go in there and just completely take over the defense and tell Joe Witt how to do his job. Like, that's why otherwise what's the point in having him, right? So I just think that, like, you can't blame necessarily. I don't think you can blame Dan for Joe's shortcomings, because Joe's supposed to be doing his job and he's not doing a good job.
But that's not what I agree with that. But that's not what I was saying. Is there's 7 games left in this season. If the defense does not show any improvement over these last 7 games, what does that say about Dan Quinn?
That he has shitty players.
Well, then can't you say that Joe Witt has shitty players?
Right.
Yeah, I guess you can.
I stand by. He's not a very good coach.
Yeah, and this goes back to what I've said all along. Dan Quinn is a 500 coach. And his time in Washington after 2 seasons is going to be below 500, because they play Miami Sunday in Madrid, España. And Miami, after spanking the Bills, is a 2.5-point favorite over Washington, which leads me to believe there's a good chance Washington will not be favored in any game the rest of the season, with the possible exception of the New York Giants. They've got the Eagles twice.
Yeah.
They've got Dallas. They've got, I think, the Vikings and the Broncos. This team could end up at 3 wins for the season.
Agreed. It definitely could.
I mean, I think I said last week that they would go from 12-5 to 5-12, but after the turd they dropped against Detroit, and after seeing what Miami did against Buffalo, I have no reason to believe that Washington can beat Miami.
Right. So
maybe they'll get lucky against the last game of the season against the Eagles because they'll be resting all their players before the playoffs.
well,
And
that's
I had that
about
same conversation with someone. No, you're
at
right.
this,
That's
You're
like an
absolutely
empty
right.
netter.
but
Yeah.
given where we are with Miami and the Giants remaining on our schedule, we should have been able to say they can end 5-12. That's way worse than we thought, but they should be able to win those two. I'm
Mhm.
not confident they can win either. I think Miami's going to beat them, honestly. Not to jump ahead to the end, but
Right. No, it's okay.
Spoiler
We try to
alert.
avoid structure here. Structure just gets in the way.
right, right.
Okay. So then I go to what else is Washington doing to better themselves heading into this game against Miami? You know, the injuries just seem to mount up. Trey Amos is out for the rest of the season with a broken fibula, I think it was. So that's not good. And so Washington made some moves. Trey Amos was placed on the injured list, and basically, I think his season is done, which is a shame because he was the best defensive back they had this year. They signed Robbie Chosen and Jacoby Jones, both receivers, from the practice squad to the active roster. And they signed a wide receiver, River Crawcraft, never heard of the guy, and defensive end Marcus Walker to the practice squad. Now, the interesting thing about Walker being signed is he's a 2017 second round pick from Denver. And he was released by Chicago back in February. He's got 26 and a half career sacks. So this is a guy they just signed to the practice squad. He made the trip with the team to Madrid because they're hoping he might be able to play Sunday against Miami. That's how bad it is that they just signed a guy who was cut in February and nobody else bothered to pick up. And they're hoping he can play Sunday. I that's how bad it is right now on that defense.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. We should talk more about kickers on here.
Well, it's funny you should mention kicking. Because remember last year there was the kind of the running joke about how Tressway didn't really have to play at all, right?
Yeah.
Never really punted, right? Because they kept going for it on fourth down and the offense was so successful. So this year, so the last two games, Washington, the defense has forced one punt in the last two games. And that punt, that one punt came against Seattle, and it was Seattle, who was leading by 24 at the time, was trying to run out the clock, ran 3 straight plays for 7 yards, and they ran 3 straight plays, including 7 yards on a 3rd and 8. They had faced fourth down. They're trying to run, and they punted then. So that's the one punt that they forced in the last 2 games.
Okay.
I mean, you know, we can sit here and keep rehashing stuff, but the defense has been horrible. Some of it's on injuries. We agree about that, but the coaching hasn't been good. Obviously, the team feels that coaching hasn't been good because Joe Witt's no longer calling the defense.
Yep.
So I have one last question on that, and
Okay.
I'll move off of this subject. And we might have touched on this last week. Did that decision, was there pressure from Adam Peters or the ownership group to Dan Quinn to get rid of Joe Witt or to take over play calling himself? Either one, because they're two separate things. And, you know, if it was fired Joe Witt and Dan Quinn said, well, I don't want to fire him, how about if I take over play calling? Or did someone say, Dan, you have to start calling the plays because you're better at this than he is and he doesn't have any experience calling plays? do we think that might have come from above, or is this Dan Quinn showing at least something to make the call to say, I have to take over because it's not working?
We have no idea, right? So I think I'm going to say we're just speculating.
Right. Yes,
Yeah.
we're speculating. Yes,
So
absolutely.
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he realized it on his own, that it needed to be done.
Okay.
Just because I just I guess because I just want to remain slightly optimistic that we don't have the worst coach in the NFL.
Oh,
Fair enough. Fair enough. No, that's I agree with what you said. I'm hoping it was Dan Quinn's decision.
yeah. I, I'm not sure. I don't know that to me, if it did come from above, that it's necessarily that bad. Um, for Dan Quinn. I mean, yeah, I guess I'd like to believe it was his decision, but how could there not be some conversations at this point? I mean, they've
Well,
given up.
Dan always talks about how he has, I think, weekly conversations or maybe even daily conversations with Adam Peters. So they're talking all the time. And I'm sure they're spitballing ideas off of each other. And Dan saying, well, what the hell do we do? And it's like, maybe we need to sit Joe down and
Well, I hope Dan's not saying that, because as the head coach, he should be the one with the ideas of what to do.
okay. So maybe Adam
Well,
Peters is saying, what the hell do we do? And Dan's.
well, let me. I'll add on to that, Joe. And I don't know if you guys know this. On Mondays, when there's a Sunday game, obviously Tuesday if there's a Monday game, the head coach meets with the owners every week.
Every team or just ours? Is
I
that like
believe every team does that, or most teams do
okay.
that. That was something I learned this year. I didn't know that, but so So yeah, I'm sure Dan Quinn and Adam Peters are talking on a regular basis. I would hope they are, especially with all the injuries about who are we promoting and have you signed anybody else, like the guy who was cut in February and nobody else bothered to pick up. But Dan Quinn is also meeting with Josh Harris. Now, I don't know if any other owners are part of that meeting or if it's just Josh Harris as the managing partner. So there, I don't think pressure would have come from Josh Harris, quite honestly, because I don't have a whole lot of faith in Josh Harris. But maybe it could come from Adam Peters, but I don't think it comes from Josh Harris. So I'm eliminating half of that, and that's why I think Dan Quinn, or at least I'm hoping Dan Quinn, made the decision himself.
Yeah, I guess for me, it's he's definitely getting pressure from Harris and Peters. Like, he's getting pressure, whether they're telling him to. I guess that's the difference. Are they directing him to do that, or is he making a decision because he's getting that pressure that maybe he wouldn't have made otherwise?
Right.
So I don't know. I'll
Okay.
go though. I want to believe he did it on his own.
Okay. All right. So Sunday at I don't know what the local time is in Madrid, but it's a 9:30 kickoff East Coast time, 6:30 a.m. kickoff time West Coast time. Um, I've
You could probably
I'm
sleep
back.
in.
We'll see. If I flew home this weekend, it would be like watching games normally for me now because it would be 9:30. I'd wake up at the normal time. So if I'd been smart, I might have done that. Now I have to decide: do I just wake up at whatever time I wake up and record the game and start watching then, or do I wake up at 6:30 or 6 o'clock so I can watch the game at 6:30, or do I take a nap Saturday and stay up all night long and then take a nap Sunday or something? I like Joe laughs and Mike's shaking his head like you're stupid.
Just established at the beginning of this thing how fucking old you are, so that's a terrible idea for that.
Well,
But
I have a tendency to stay up late on the weekend sometimes. So,
you, okay, so you stay up all night Saturday night. Let's play that out. You start watching the game at 6:30 a.m. your time. That's gonna
yeah.
look really, really bad. So now you're tired and angry.
But there's also a good chance that I could fall asleep during the game since I had done that before.
Look, I think you don't record it. Don't set an alarm. Wake up when you wake up. And if you're lucky, you wake up, you'll sleep in and the game will be over. And all you have to see is how bad it was.
But then I wouldn't be able to properly report on next week's show about the team. And I'm a professional. A professional what? I have no idea, but I'm a professional.
On the plus side, you don't have to worry about them revoking your credentials.
True. And I should say, I guess I'm glad we don't have credentials, because if we had credentials, we could be in Madrid covering the team right now. All right.
We just need that beer sponsor to come through.
I'm telling you, man, someone's got to jump in on this. Come on. We're worth a couple of free beers. It won't cost the company anything. Just reach out to us at Hogs, Hops, and Hope. If we don't have a website or an email or anything, just leave us a comment.
Just leave it. Yeah, leave a comment. Let us know you're watching.
All right, so let's go ahead and wrap this up, because we could just sit here and badmouth the team for hours, I'm sure, if we really wanted to. Got Miami. Miami's a 2.5-point favorite. We've all touched that on already, but let's get our predictions, since we try to avoid predictions or whatever. You know, we said we were going to try and avoid that, but we haven't all season. So why start now? Joe, what's going to happen in the game? Miami is a 2.5-point favorite, and the over/under is 47.5 points.
Wow.
And again, do not follow our advice for betting in any way, shape, or form.
No. All right, here we go. I'm going to say that we're going to win, and the score is going to be under.
Wow, that NyQuil is pretty damn strong, isn't it?
Come on, we're only at 2-point dogs. We should be able to win.
Mike?
I think Miami was a fluke against the Bills. I'm going to stop talking because I'm going to talk myself out of picking them.
Yeah,
no, go ahead. No, finish your thought, Joe. Finish your thought. I want to.
No, no, Mike, go ahead.
No, I think we're going to lose. Where I'm struggling is at the over or the under. We give up so many points, it might be the over, but no, I think it'll be the under.
So Miami beat the Jets in week 4, and they beat the Falcons. I don't know what week that was, whatever week that was. They beat the Falcons 34-10, and then beat the Bills last week 30-13. And they've lost to, they lost to the Colts. Okay, that's understandable. The Colts are one of the best teams in the league. They lost to the Patriots. They only lost to the Patriots by 6 points. That's understandable. The Patriots are one of the better teams in the league. They did lose to the Bills once. They lost to the Panthers by 3 points. They lost to the Chargers only by 2 points. They lost to the Browns pretty bad, though. That's pretty embarrassing. And they lost to the Ravens. So their losses are, and their wins are suspect.
We're going to be like the Browns game. And the defensive players, are not going to want to let down their coach. They're going to be playing lights out defense.
No, you know what? That's an interesting take. Will they
shaking his head. He's just like, shut the hell up.
Will they rally around Dan Quinn and his incredible defensive play calling?
What's the most turnovers we've had this year? That's it. We're going to have the most turnovers on Sunday. Our defense is going to get the most turnovers they've had all season.
I think they've had two. Two has been their most in any one game.
Well, then that's not hard to beat.
No, it really isn't. No, it really isn't. Yeah, that's not very hard to do. I was going to try and see if I could find that. Let's see here. Let's see if I can find some defensive stats. Let's see. Team defense turnovers. Here we go. So Washington, surprisingly, is not the worst in the league. They're at a
We're at, what,
-6. So they're a -6 on the turnover differential. There's what, 32 teams in the league? So 30, 20, they're 28th.
Wow.
And here you go. This is going to fall right into Joe's argument. The team who's 29th, Miami Dolphins at -7. But Washington's defense is the same defense that it was last year. It sucked last year. It was just covered up by the offense. This year, they don't have the offense covering up for them. I don't think they're going to beat Miami. I have no reason to believe. I have no reason. The team has given me no reason to believe that they can beat Miami.
Right.
Or the defense.
Okay, I can't argue with that.
Now, the offense, could the offense score? Well, Terry's still out. Noah's still out. You know, we're going down the list. Even who was their leading receiver last week was Treylon Burks. He had 3 catches for 56 yards.
I always like
58 yards. What's that?
And
I said I always like that guy.
And according to the injury report, he's out.
He's out. But hey, at least there was a Ben Sinnott sighting against the who'd they play out of trying to block all these games out against the Lions. He scored a touchdown. Ben Sinnott scored a touchdown. 1 catch, 4 yards, 1 touchdown.
How'd the kid do that from Virginia Tech? What's his name again? That we drafted?
Jalen Lane. Jalen Lane had 1 catch for 41 yards on 1 target. Maybe they should have thrown him the ball more.
100%.
Our kicker, Matt Gay, did not miss a single kick all game.
Well, when your team rarely gets close enough, never mind.
He made a field goal and an extra point.
Yeah. So last year it was Tress Way didn't have to do anything. This year, Matt Gay really doesn't have to do much of anything.
I'm telling you, be a kicker for Washington one way or the other. You could end up playing for nothing. I mean, getting paid for nothing.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't think they're going to beat Miami. I think the score is going to be over. Because I don't think the defense can stop Miami. Miami's got a fast running back. I don't know his name. They got Waddle as a wide receiver. He's one of the best receivers in the league. And Tua, if Tua has a good game, he's going to throw for over 300 yards, and he may throw for 3 touchdowns. Of course, if he has a bad game, he could throw for 150 yards and 3 interceptions. So what do I know?
That would fall right into what I was saying.
That would fall right into what you were saying, Joe.
He's gonna the time change and the food over there is gonna mess with him, and he's gonna screw up.
Okay.
Listen, it's a shit team this
So
year. It's
Spanish
a shit
food poisoning for Tua.
for the whole Dolphins team. They're gonna forfeit the game.
That's the only way we win it. So,
all right. Well, and then the great thing is after the Miami game, Washington has their bye. So we will be back next week to talk about the loss to Miami. And as we head into the bye week. And that's about it. So anything you guys want to add in? Anything you want to end with? Anything exciting or anything? No?
Nope.
Great. Silence is approval. All right. So until next week, thanks always for watching. We do appreciate it. Leave a comment, especially if you want to be a beer sponsor for us. That would be greatly appreciated. And until next week, bye.
So yeah.
I didn't even finish my beer during the podcast. What kind of podcast is that?